What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Ginger Chronicles. It's your boy Big Country. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Tonight, we got a really good topic we're going to be discussing, and that is Zack Snyder's recent release of his version of the Justice League. Fans have been waiting for this since 2017 when the 2-hour crap version came out that just was terrible. God, honestly, terrible. Tonight, joining me, we're going to have a buddy of mine, Ryan, on from Nerd Culture. We're going to talk about this movie a little bit. Some other guys may join in, depending on their schedule. But let me talk a little bit about this film that Zack Snyder released. First of all, it's 4 hours long. I did not find myself getting bored at any part of the 4 hours. I really like the movie. I'm glad they were able to finally release it. I'm glad they gave an extra $70 million to release his version. And just looking back about the movie from the beginning to the end, you know, I was happy it started off with the final scene from Batman versus Superman, and kind of a, definitely slow motion. I think 10% of the film was slow motion instead of that just cell phone crappy opening that Joss Whedon's version came out with in 2017. Unfortunately, Zack Snyder lost his daughter during the making of the original movie, which is why he stepped down during the post-production of the movie, and then Joss Whedon stepped in to help finish it. They went back, made a lot of edits, made a lot of cuts. I mean, just looking back at Snyder's version, if you watched it, you'll realize they cut out a lot. They cut out Cyborg's origin story. They cut out the Flash, a lot of his stuff. They didn't show Darkseid at all, which is another reason why Snyder's cut, in my opinion, was better. Looking Steppenwolf, him and Snyder's cut versus him in the 2017 edition. Amazing job by Snyder. So I really enjoyed the movie. Right now, let me bring on my buddy Ryan from Nerd Culture. Ryan, how's it going, my friend?
It's going well, man. It's going well. Thanks for having me. This ought to be a good show tonight for sure.
Definitely. I think we've all been waiting for this version of the Justice League to come out since 2017, since we heard that there was actually another version of this movie.
Yeah, long time. And we didn't get a chance to discuss this backstage off camera, but there's a video that a group of fans put together to help get the studio executives to release the Snyder cut, and it was a very emotional, very well put together, like fan tribute, like pleading with the executives of Warner Brothers or DC to give us this version of the film. I'll have to send that to you a little bit later on, but I will say, after watching that fan-made video of a group of fans from all around the world who are big Zack Snyder fans and big fans of his vision for the DC universe, it's amazing, man. And I'm glad that this version of the film has finally come out. We can put a lot of things to rest, put a lot of things behind us, and say, hey, you got your film, however many millions of fans are out there, but at least it's finally out. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I have seen the 4-hour version of this film, so I know exactly what's going on. I know everything that happened, beginning, middle, and end. And believe me, there's a lot to unpack in a 4-hour cut of this movie.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, from the opening scene where it just shows a slow motion version of Superman dying, from the Batman of Superman, his calls yelling out to the universe that he was dead, which pretty much woke up the mother boxes, which they never explained in 2017's edition. Zack Snyder's version, definitely darker, which is another reason why I think all the fans who love DC, who loved Man of Steel, or who loved Batman versus Superman, I like both those movies because of the darker aspects of them. Snyder continued that, whereas Joss Whedon went back, lightened everything. I mean, they had to make, I believe, just the Snyder's cut was rated R, which was amazing. Mm-hmm. And it's not, I know you got Joss Whedon's, I never looked this up, but it's probably PG or something of that nature with how colorful it was.
Oh man. Yeah, there was no black suit in the Joss Whedon version.
That was another. I remember seeing the trailer, seeing the black suit Superman. I was like, "Here we go. This is what I'm talking about." And then, but once I knew they had Darkseid in it, I was like, "All right, I'm ready for this. This movie's gonna be awesome." I'm glad the fans I can't wait to see those videos because I knew the fans had pretty much rose up and had been demanding it for the last 4 years.
Long time.
Yeah.
It was a long
And
time coming.
did you watch it all the way through? Did you stop any throughout the movie? With it being four
Uh,
hours,
well, I did have to pause it during certain stages to take what is known as a bathroom break.
right?
Thank goodness for the pause button. Thank you, HBO Max. You guys rock. With that being said, no, I watched it. I took a few commercial breaks, aka bathroom breaks, for those of us watching at home, here and there. But no, but I will say this though. Is it okay if we talk about one or two of the negatives for this?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, man. I
Okay.
want to hear like what you think about
All right,
of course positive and then negative.
all
Yeah.
right. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Zack Snyder. I know you're watching this. I want to let you in on something. Man of Steel is my #1 favorite comic book movie of all time. I love Man of Steel. I saw it 5 times in the theater. I will support that film to my dying days. I don't care what anyone says. Batman v Superman has its moments. The Ultimate Edition obviously is way better because you get the director's cut of the film, respectively. And also, my biggest negative in that film, and this kind of comes into play with Zack Snyder's Justice League, but not as bad. Batman v Superman was a good film, but the worst casting I've seen in Hollywood's history. Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. Get out of here. But anyway, about Justice League. Let's talk about Justice League for a minute, because my biggest negative with this was, Zach, I know that you like to make things like a comic book panel, and you like to have it come to life in a way that's called slow motion. Way too much, man. Way too much slow motion. I felt like the first half of this movie was slow motion, and I'm thinking to myself, can you please stop? Can we just get to the film, like get to the action, like get to the point? Okay.
I didn't think every scene for the Flash had to be slow motion.
Oh my gosh, like
Every single one.
The first half of this movie to me was nothing but slow mo for the most part. Anyway, sorry, Zach.
I like the opening scene, how that was slow motion. I like that.
Oh yeah, like Superman's death. The what is it? The pre like it's kicking up.
Yeah.
It's picking up where we left off, and he's like, and the echoes are going out. Like, okay, that makes sense. That is
right.
mythological.
Because it explained how the mother boxes knew that the Kryptonian was dead. That's the only reason why Steppenwolf came to try to find the mother boxes.
Yeah, it was a wake-up call to the universe saying, hey guys, the big blue Boy Scout is kind of dead. So if you want to take over the world, now is your chance. No, it's still not going to happen. But yeah, no, my biggest negative was slow motion. Zach, you really need to stop. Please stop. Other than that, I thought this film, when it really wasn't in slow motion, it was really good. The exposition was good. The mythology was good. The flashback sequences were good.
Yeah.
The
future sequences of what
is it? The
might
epilogue?
be happening.
The epilogue with the nightmare sequence.
Yep.
Ooh, boy, that was some dark and gritty, crazy shit. But I love it. But the thing that kind of missed me, though, and you may or may not have heard this in the trailer, it kind of bugs me that Jared Leto's Joker, I know we're kind of jumping around here, but at the epilogue where he says, we live in a society where honor is a distant memory, never showed up. It never showed up. It was in the trailers, but it wasn't in the final cut. And I'm wondering, Zach, that would have been nice. Right. But you know what? Overall,
because I believe all he said was, "We live in a society."
Yeah, but in the final trailer that promoted this movie going into his HBO Max, he does say, "We live in a society where honor is a distant memory." Isn't that right, Batman? Like I would have liked to have heard that, but
I remember him saying Batman part. Yeah, you sure he didn't say the whole line?
No, in the trailer he said that line, but in the movie he does say Batman, but it was after he said certain lines. But that was my biggest pet peeve, was the slow motion. But other than that, I thought this movie, when it got going, it got going. And I thought the altering score where you had the Wonder Woman theme, but then you just had a regular theme for the rest of the movie. That
expanded more in that whole robbery sequence was amazing.
That didn't bother me. I thought, and we finally get to see some of these heroes and how they came to be. Like we get more with Aquaman. We get more with Aquaman. We get more with Cyborg. We understand why Aquaman has certain feelings that he has and why he's hesitant to get involved and join the team. And he's like, more or less. More or less. So he said no. Yeah, he said no. But the biggest thing, one of the bigger positives of this movie, I will say, is the camaraderie between the cast. You can tell that they had fun. You can tell that they like working together. And this is the thing. I don't know. I don't think it's been announced yet by the executives and the powers that be at the studio. But if there is a possibility of getting a Justice League 2 after everything that we've seen in the 4-hour cut, especially with the epilogue and what could potentially happen with the nightmare sequence or their version of Injustice, I say give Zack all the money. Let him make a Justice League Part 2 and 3. If you want to make this a trilogy, have at it. Because even though the slow motion bothered me, there's enough there for me to say, you know what, Zack? Not only do I still like you, because you gave me Man of Steel and I love you to pieces for that, I respect you of what you. I mean, you went through a horrible, terrible tragedy, but you came back, finished this thing, got it out, and you gave the people what they wanted. But you also gave us wanting more,
Oh
and
yeah,
that's what I
that
think a
story
film
arc,
needs to
the
do. The
nightmare
f-
sequence, the story arc.
yeah,
I mean,
I
Lois is
want more of
definitely
that.
a key figure now, and the fact that they didn't come right out and say she's dead now, Superman's evil, but I mean, pretty much that's what's happened. So I'm curious now. A, how much money is Warner Brothers going to throw at Zack Snyder to get a sequel to this movie?
Mm.
And B, what kind of sequel is he going to make to this? Because I mean, he can't leave it like that. I mean, after 2017's Justice League, I didn't care if I saw another one. It was just that crappy. But after seeing this movie, I'm like, I don't think it has to be 4 hours, but
No, no.
I don't. Yeah, I mean,
Ugh,
trim it back 2.5, maybe three tops. But
for
I think
sure.
and a lot of people complaining because of how long it was. I'm looking at it as is that long because he told a great story for Cyborg.
He told a complete story for a lot of these characters.
Yeah, Flash and him and Iris, how they meet in that flashback, I liked it.
Yeah, I enjoyed more of the Aquaman sequences and the Cyborg sequences more than Flash, but the Flash was fine. Like if they bring him back for the sequel, I'm not going to say no because like I said, the cast is so good when they're together, when they're
Oh
working
yeah,
together, when they're talking to each other and they're BSing or they're just saying, "Hey, how do you feel?" Well, we're asking a guy to unite three boxes, and his dad just sacrificed himself for him, so I think he's doing okay. It's
I
like,
didn't. Yeah, I didn't like with the Aquaman. After recently in the last couple of weeks seeing the Aquaman again, I'm so caught up on that, so I didn't really pay attention to the fact that he didn't tell Aquaman's story either in that first movie, so because it's so fresh in my mind. But yeah, looking back, you're right. I mean, the fact that he went deeper with Aquaman that came out after 2017's Justice League,
mhm.
but with me watching it recently being so fresh in my mind, I'm sitting over here
Oh,
thinking,
okay.
I've seen this recently.
No, but yeah, no, the whole complete story arc that we really got with Cyborg was great. It's
Oh,
fantastic.
amazing.
And Ray Fisher, bless
Dude,
the man's
awesome.
heart. He comes from a Broadway, theater background, but but I didn't know anything about him other than that. I hadn't seen any of his previous works going into this movie, but you know what? Everyone just killed it, and Ray Fisher was definitely one of the standouts because his story arc was probably the biggest, if not most important, that concerned the main story
Oh,
between
easily.
what is it, Steppenwolf and Darkseid and Desaad
Yeah, because
potentially
his
coming
dad
to
used the mother
Earth.
box to actually
Yeah,
resurrect him. I mean, pretty much. I mean, build his body for him. It all came from the mother
yeah.
box,
And the
and that
looks of
was
these characters, even though I haven't read a whole lot of the comic books, I just
what's
remember,
up, Willow.
Willow, we love you, by the way. Yeah, what's up, Canada? We know where you live. Anyway, it's all good, Willow. We still love you. But
Winnipeg.
Winnipeg, yeah, yeah. Let's sing a song. Anyway, no, well, I don't even know where I was going with this, but yeah, the looks of the
Ray
evildoers, the looks
Fisher.
of the bad guys. Like for someone who came from an animated series, bit of background because I remember some of these characters showing up on animated series, and obviously a few of them showed up on Smallville towards the end of its run. But you didn't
Hmm.
really get to see them though; they just kind of made cameos and flipped out. But
Hmm.
in this case, like Darkseid looked.
Oh,
I mean,
awesome.
I will say this: there was a lot of CGI here, like way,
Oh,
way,
when he was
way.
communicating with Steppenwolf
There
before he
was a
actually showed
lot of
up,
CGI
I
in this
love
movie.
that part.
There was a lot of CGI in this movie, but I understood why because you can't really tell a story with putting actors in suits like that because it's just not going to work. But CGI works. But I will say though, Darkseid looked menacing. Desaad looked menacing. Like I mean, if I see a sequel with these characters, because Darkseid said we're going to use the old ways, we're going to go back, we're going to get that anti-life matter equation, whatever. Like you can tell that Zack wants to do one, if not two sequels to this bad boy. And if he
Oh yeah,
does, give him the money, let him do it. Because
Warner
even though I don't
Brothers,
want any more,
please.
I don't want any more slow motion. I want to see where this goes. I want to see where these characters end up. I want to see if other characters show up, like Martian Manhunter was in this movie. Let's see
Yes,
what he has to offer to the table. Let's see if Green Lantern shows up because they show up in the flashbacks.
exactly, exactly. Especially
I
the
want to see
Lantern. I
it.
wish they would make another Green Lantern movie. I mean, you can do a whole
A
lot better than the
proper Green Lantern
right.
movie. Yeah,
Like I said, you can do a whole lot better than the Ryan Reynolds debacle.
don't make it
And
green or animated. That's what you ended up doing, you idiots. Anyway, that was one of the worst movies of that year, by the way. That made my top 10
oh yeah,
worst of list.
yeah. But I think he definitely rebounded as Deadpool.
Yeah, he landed on his feet and he married Blake Lively. So good on you, Ryan.
There you go.
Just saying.
Dude, what about Steppenwolf, man? I loved
He
how
was
they
way better
redid
in
his
this.
armor.
He was way better in
Oh,
this
way
movie than he
better.
was in the
Way more
previous, and he was
menacing too.
way more menacing, way more threatening. I mean, he didn't. I mean, when he went into action, he went into action. I would have liked to have seen him a little bit more, but his axe was. I mean, that axe was killer. His armor shifting little pieces
Mm-hmm.
here and there was weird and mysterious. And then Wonder Woman's like, and what's it was? Steppenwolf was like, Amazon, you're not like your sisters. It's like, ooh, you noticed, huh? Maybe it's the
He
suit.
was telling her how they screamed when he killed them and stuff like that. She's
Ooh.
like, "You lie."
You lie, man. You didn't kill my sister. They're not all dead. Sir, some of them are dead for sure because the tower went into the water
Yeah,
at that point. But
the ones
still,
ones that got trapped in the
got
cave or
trapped and they had to seal the
underneath the
gates,
dent.
man.
Yeah.
Had to seal them gates with those big
Every time
ass
it slammed shut,
hammers.
I was like, "Ooh, that's a way to go."
Yeah, big ass hammers. But yeah, there's some good sequences in this, man. We get a lot. We get some Themyscira love. We get love from flashbacks. By the way, the flashbacks when the first war happened between the heroes, the gods, the
Oh
man,
yes,
and what was it,
telling the
Zeus,
story of it.
and the Atlanteans before they went underwater. It's like, dude, like this is how you do flashbacks, son.
Mm-hmm.
It's good stuff. I loved it. But yeah, overall, like I said, aside from CGI or not CGI, the slow motion crazy fest in the first half of this movie. Other than that, I think at the end of the day, I'm going to give this movie probably a solid 8 out of 10. That's how I rank my
Oh
movies.
hell
On a
yeah,
scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably going to give this between a 7 and an 8, maybe a 7.5.
it's a
Now
lot
that I
better
think
than
about it.
Rotten Tomatoes gave him. I think they gave him a 6.5 out of 10 after giving, which is weird
Yeah,
after giving 2017's Justice League a 6 out of 10. I'm like, you're only gonna
yeah.
give it a half more.
I think I go probably 7, 7.5 now that I'm thinking about it for this version of the 4-hour cut of Justice League. But I will say, though, the epilogue was just, dude, I want to
It
see that
leaves
guy.
everybody who was a fan of this movie, a
I
fan
want
of
to.
Man of Steel, a fan of Batman vs Superman. They want another one.
Well, give us another one. Executives, are you listening to this? We want another one now.
Terry says it was fantastic. Well, Steppenwolf was fantastic, but he didn't like the rest of the movie.
That's fair, Terry. That's fair. Like I said, there are some things, one or two things I would have taken out, or I would have made this movie like a half hour, 45 minutes shorter. That's what I would have
Oh
done.
yeah, yeah,
Wait,
but I mean, I like how they filled the time with telling the stories, especially of the Flash.
subplots.
How he met Iris.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so used to the Flash TV show.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I'm kind of curious to what Snyder's version would be if he did a solo Flash movie or a solo Cyborg movie. What would you think of?
I would have liked to have seen those. I would have been interested. I mean, is Zack the first person I would go to direct those movies? I mean, maybe, maybe not, because when you make spin-off movies, you want to give other filmmakers a chance to put their stamp on a character. But
It's
I
not
mean,
Josh Whedon.
well, he's in kind of director prison right now, and he's going to be for
Oh,
a while. So, Josh, just let it
go
go.
back to Buffy.
Yeah, go
Go
back to
back to
something else.
Buffy.
Anyway, yeah, whoever ends up directing the Flash, what is it? The Flash movie I hear is in production, or they're trying to put it in. But you know what? That film's been through so much development. Heck, I'll be
Mm-hmm.
surprised if the Flash movie ever happens. I mean, Cyborg was supposed to happen a couple years ago. That never happened. But you know what? After seeing Justice League, if directors and filmmakers go back to this well and they want to put these actors back in these roles and give them spin-off movies, in the words of Futurama, just shut up and take my money, please. Like, just do it.
I just wish they would have left Grant Austin as the Flash.
Grant Gustin, you mean?
Yeah, Grant Gustin. I don't know why I
Yeah,
keep always calling
you
him
were
Grant
saying
Austin.
Austin. What do you think? It was Austin 316 and that new Funko Pop that just hit 7-Eleven the other day?
That's the bottom line. Austin 316. Well, Austin 316 says so.
316, yeah.
Jesus.
But yeah, this was a film for the ages, man. I'm telling you, some people may have this on their top 10 favorite comic movies of all time. Some people may not. I mean, for right now, it's too fresh in my mind. I have to sit and marinate on it for a few years before I consider putting it in my top 10. Right now, I put it in honorable mentions just because it's 4 hours, man. I don't know if I want to sit through that. But again, anyway. But then again, we have HBO Max. We can fast forward.
Oh yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, I sat through the entire movie. Only took
I
like
did.
a bathroom break. Didn't I mean, I've been to the theater plenty of times. I don't know how to have a habit of nodding off in the theaters, no matter what's going on. I remember nodding off during one of the biggest scenes in Infinity War. Don't put me in a dark room like that. That's why I'm glad HBO Max is around. Hopefully, between them and Disney Plus, we'll keep getting new releases on the app instead of the theater.
Then we can pause when we actually do have to take a bathroom break. Hello.
Instead of holding it for
3 hours.
in this
like
case would have been 4 hours.
Yeah, like everyone did for Endgame when it came out 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
29. Do you remember that?
I
Everyone
don't think
held
I
it.
nodded off during that one. I think that kept my attention the entire time.
I mean, both films kept my attention, Infinity War and Endgame, especially Infinity War. Gosh, that movie's so good. Anyway, are we
Yeah,
talking about Marvel? Yo, no, we're not. We're talking about this.
they
We're talking about the
marv
Trinity,
they make the
baby.
really best movies. I mean, it's hard not to
We're
talk
talking
about
about
them.
this now.
What about
Oh,
what about like in the epilogue? Well, even before that, really, you see Deathstroke come in. I thought that was awesome.
yeah, he what is it? He broke that pathetic excuse for Lex Luthor, known as Jesse. I can't act my way out of a paper bag Eisenberg out of
I
prison.
like him as I don't in a way I do, but I don't. I think what I like about Eisenberg as Lex Luthor is he comes off as that. He's got a way of coming off as that maniacal, really intelligent. I'm gonna outthink you. I'm a smart ass too. That's one thing I really liked. Even when he was locked up, still had that smart ass attitude to him. And the fact that they were able to get him to shave his head, I thought was awesome.
Yeah,
I love
I
the
mean,
fact they got him to shave
in
his
this
head.
movie, in this 4 hour cut of Justice League, he was fine because it's a cameo. It's a glorified cameo. He's in it for like what, less than 5 minutes. You know
Hmm.
that I can take. If you put in Lex Luthor in small doses, maybe Zach, I'll let the Jesse Eisenberg worst casting ever in the history of Hollywood slide. But for now, he's fine in Justice League, the director's cut, because he's only in it for 5 minutes. But in the Batman v Superman, I'm thinking to myself, this guy's terrible. It's the worst casting ever. Why is he on screen? He sounds like a 10-year-old going up against 35-year-old men who can whip his ash from here to St. Paul. Like, I mean, oh, look at that is quite a grip. This is not someone you should pick a fight with. It's like, dude, really? It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. If you're going to put anyone in that seat of Lex Luthor, even if it's someone young, get someone better, please. But if
Who would you pick? Who would you
Well, here's the
pick?
thing. If we were doing a different route and you got a younger actor to play Lex Luthor, I'd have to think on that for more than 30 seconds
Because
because you
Gene
got to put me
Hackman, in my opinion, is still one of the best Lex Luthors
because you're putting me on the
ever.
spot here. But if you're going to put someone who's like a mature adult, unlike Jesse, I can't act my way of in Paperbag Eisenberg. I'm sorry, I'm just going to keep throwing him under a bus all night. I would have put in Bryan Cranston. I think he would have been a great Lex Luthor, or someone who I believe was born to play Lex Luthor, and that would be the one and only, the coolness of cool, Mr. Billy Zane, ladies and gentlemen. Billy Zane was born to play Lex Luthor. Have you seen him at conventions? He is cool as ice. Okay? Have you
Yeah,
seen him in
he's
the
be able
have
to
you
play that
seen
younger
him?
one now.
I know, but if you're going to put someone younger, just get someone who's not Jesse Eisenberg or Michael Cera, okay?
Oh
Don't
God, no,
get these
not Michael
don't get
Cera.
these 25-year-old yo boys that are just terrible actors, can't act their ways out of paper bags. I don't know who I would pick if it's a 25-year-old Luther. I'd have to think on that or go to our friends in the interwebs to give me some names. But yeah, Jesse's terrible. As if you can't tell how much I hate Jesse Eisenberg right now, there you go. Although I did like you in Zombieland, Jesse. I'll give you that, but that's a separate story.
Did you like one and two? I love them both.
I haven't seen Double Tap yet. I've only seen the first one.
And what about like Amber Heard as Mara with a British accent?
Before her situation between her and Johnny Depp broke out, I was fine with her as Mira, and I was fine with her in Aquaman, the movie. I was fine with it. Didn't bother me at all.
Oh
I thought she was really good as Mira in Aquaman, the spin-off movie, but
yeah.
because of her legal troubles, they're going to replace her, and if they replace her, that's
You think
fine
they will?
because
Or did
I
they
think they're
already
going to do it.
fire?
I mean, if they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. Look, I know it's a bit of a touchy subject, but for the most part, I can separate the art from the artist. Like if you just give me a good movie, I'll be fine with it. But
Right.
If you do replace Amber Heard with somebody else, fine. It doesn't bother me. Like I'll just roll with it because a movie is a movie. Just see it for
Yeah.
what it is. Judge it for its own merits. Don't let anything else bother you. And we're here to stay. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I mean, I
Boy,
don't know her personally or Johnny Depp personally, so that
uh,
is what it is. They decide to replace her. They decide to replace her. If not, they have her play the role. I just thought it was weird. They had her with a British accent in this movie.
mm. Nice comment there, Willow.
And he's telling me with hatred towards that.
Hey, I look. Natalie Portman was nothing in the prequels, but that's because she didn't have a director directing her. George Lucas, yeah, right. But outside of the prequels, Natalie Portman has some skills, man. But you know what? That's a story for
Yeah.
another day entirely. But I will say this though, country. This was fun. I appreciate you having me on. I do actually have to jet out of here. I got
No
some
problem.
other plans for tonight's festivities. But I will say this. Thanks for having me on. I want to appreciate you having me. This was fun. And like I said, overall,
Appreciate you coming on.
Probably going to give Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Zack, I know you're watching this. Probably going to give you a 7, if not a 7.5 out of 10 for the 4-hour cut, but that's just because the slow motion was giving me too much. But other than that, it was a fun film.
Before you go, let everybody
sure.
know where they can find you.
Yeah, and Zack, if you make a sequel, which I'm hoping you do, I'll be there for Justice League Parts 2 and 3. Executives, get on it, give them the money. You can find me and everything that we're doing on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at It's Neuroculture. New videos are being posted each and every week, so don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for having me out, Country.
Hey, Ryan, appreciate you, buddy. Have a good one. Well, thank you again, Ryan, for joining in on tonight's topic of the Justice League Zack Snyder Cut Edition. I want to appreciate everybody for joining tonight. As you can tell, we both really enjoyed that film. I really enjoyed it as well. 4 straight hours didn't bother me at all. I don't want any sequels to be 4 hours, and I make them a little bit shorter. But I understand, like I said earlier, with them going back and telling the story of Cyborg more, his origin, and then telling more for the Flash. I like what they did to use up that time. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about Zack Snyder's version of the Justice League, what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. Also, feel free to say what you would do to change it or what they should do with any future movies. And next week, we are going to be talking about WrestleMania 37. The WWE is finally going to have a live event where fans can join. They're going to have 2 nights again of WrestleMania. I think 45,000 fans each night. So join in next week for that. We'll try to have some guests on to talk about it. My buddy Henny is going to actually be at the WrestleMania, I think the Sunday night. And you can find me and him later on this week for the Country and Henny Show. And I will see everybody next week right here on the Ginger Chronicles. Thank you all for joining.